What's the craziest thing you've ever seen with your own eyes happen in church?
Boy, I got a good one for y'all. Y'all need to listen to this. So I was about 9 or 10 at the time, and me, my family, and the pastor was just trying to find a home church. So we finally came across one here in Charlotte, and at first it was going good. The pastor at that church at the time made my current pastor a deacon, so everything was cool. Then when months go by, the pastor at that church was kind of starting to not like my current pastor right now. I guess because the congregation liked him more and enjoyed him a lot more when he was preaching other than that pastor. So one day I walked in, I could just tell the pastor was off. He wasn't feeling it that day, I guess. My current pastor got up on the pulpit, started preaching. Next thing I know, that pastor stood up, got in front of him, and pulled out a handgun and pointed at his head. Everybody in this church just started screaming and praying and everything, running around and everything. And the only thing you hear from the pastor is click, click, click. Not one bullet came out. We all know who held them bullets back. Jesus! Then the pastor was on the ground because he had to. My current pastor had to put the paws on him. Cops showed up, took the gun, looked at it, and it was fully loaded. And like I said, not one bullet came out. He went to a mental hospital and stayed there until the day he died, actually. And my pastor was there all the time by his bedside, just praying for him and just acting like that didn't even happen. That's a God-fearing man, I'm telling you.
Why would I listen to you? It's about to make me mad.
This will be my first part of my miracle series. I'll be covering well-evidenced miracles. Today we'll be covering the miraculous story of Dwayne Miller. Dwayne Miller was a preacher that loved what he did. But one day he woke up with the flu. The flu attacked his vocal cords and damaged the nerves. This caused him to lose his voice, and it turned it into a raspy whisper. For over 3 years, he visited over 25 doctors. One of the doctors he saw, a world-leading throat specialist from the Swiss Symposium, said there was a 0% chance for the nerves to be recovered, and it was impossible to take out the scar tissue. He no longer preached, and he gave up his job. He went to a government job and also lost that job because he couldn't testify in court. After about 3 years of his lost voice, his hometown church just wanted to hear him preach. His church kept asking him to preach, and he finally said yes. They gave him a special microphone and amplified his voice so the congregation could hear him. This audio was recorded. I want to play it for you guys. Pay attention to the context. It's about healing.
Let me say to you that I believe God still heals. That hasn't ended. That is not over. Now you have to be careful on how you do this, because there are folks who carry things to an excess and it becomes a show. And God has never intended that be what it is. God heals in his sovereign will.
You can really tell how damaged his voice is, and it's been like that for the past 3 years. Now, pay attention to his voice, the crowd's reaction, and especially his reaction.
I have had, and you have had in times past, pit experiences. We've all had times when our life seemed to be in a pit, in a grave. And we didn't have an answer for the pit we find ourselves in. And I don't understand this right now. I'm a bit overwhelmed at the moment.
You can hear that drastic change when he says in a pit. He testified that at that moment he felt something in his throat, and it was like a breath of fresh air for the first time in 3 years, and it didn't hurt anymore. He went to the doctor the next day, and the doctor said that it was inexplicable. He got his throat scans, and something crazy happened. The scan showed that the scar tissue had disappeared. The doctor said even if I could explain how your voice came back, it's impossible to explain how the scar tissue disappeared. He is now a pastor again, and he has a radio show where he talks every single day. Praise the triune God.
No, but it's not funny. At the end of the day, is it? It's serious.
Freddie, you're supposed to be on lockdown.
I've done things that I'm not proud of, Vanessa.
It is me, Dominique, bringing you episode 208 of Bible Trivia.
In this sentence, the Lord shut him in. What door did God close? If you said the door of the ark, you are correct. Which king had 700 royal wives? If you said Solomon, you are correct. What happened immediately to Samson when his hair was cut? If you said he lost his strength, you are correct. What relative was Abraham of Isaac? If you said Abraham was Isaac's father, you are correct. On which of the 6 days of creation did God make fish? If you said the 5th, you are correct.
Jesus coming back about, and he's gonna come through in the clouds about.
Hi friend, I want to encourage you to trust and believe in God before the miracle happens, before the provision happens, before the deliverance happens. Trust in who God is and what he has promised, because he never fails. In Exodus 1, the Egyptian Pharaoh tells the Hebrew midwives to go to the Hebrew women giving birth and to kill all of their sons because he was scared of a rebellion by the Israelites who he was oppressing and enslaving. But the Hebrew midwives feared God more than they feared Pharaoh, and God blessed them for preserving all of these sons. But this commentary also showed me that they trusted in God and believed in God and feared God before they even knew his promise to deliver the people from the oppression of the Egyptians. They believed in God's character, who he is, and they knew that God is a God worth following, worth obeying, and worth risking it all for, because they could have been killed. It's awesome to praise God for what he's done after he's done it, but we need to believe in God and trust in him before he even does it, because we know his character and his past deeds.
You don't find that suspicious? You don't find that suspicious? You don't find that suspicious?
Woo, that'll do it. You don't have to worry about me. You do not have to worry about me.
You are not good enough for my daughter, and I don't want you around her. End of story.
So why don't you give me one more